I love the view up here. What's this? Shit, not again.
In this episode, I got some freebies that was given to me. This is a subwoofer that I'm already working on this time. See if we can get this thing to work so that I can turn around and sell it. This one uses a Class D bash amplifier designed and made in Canada. So this one could be an interesting fix. Let's check it out. This time I have a clips. This is a, what is this? An RRW10. This is a subwoofer. It's turned on. I have a signal going in, but there's no sound. It's got no power. So, let's get the amplifier out of this one and see what the F is wrong with it. Who the F uses Torx? What the hell kind of crap is this? Good thing I have Torx bits. Actually, I like Torx. Robertson and Torx are the two best. There's no slipping, there's no camming. Like Phillips, which is probably the worst of the screwdriver types. Let's see what's inside this unit. I think I got them all. There's the amplifier and the power supply. So this is a bash amplifier. Good chance this was made in Canada. You know, good chance this was made. I didn't even check the fuse on this. Might be bad fuse, but good chance this was made in Canada, and it is made in Canada. Holy crap! Look at this, made in Canada, right there. Ha ha ha! So this should be a good amplifier. Is it the fuse? Watch it be the fuse. I didn't even think to check that. I did just assumed that something would be wrong with it. But let's check the fuse. I tell you, I'm going to feel really stupid if it's the fuse that's bad, but let's take the fuse out and take a look at it, and the fuse looks to be fine. Now let's just double check with the meter. Does not look to be blown, and the meter confirms that the fuse is fine. So, good on me for not having egg on my face. Alright, let's see whether we first of all got any power getting to the board. So our line and neutral are over here, so we'll just put the meter over here and see whether I've got power getting in, just to verify that the switch isn't bad and the power cord's not bad and so forth. So we'll plug in power and grab the meter and put it into AC volts. And do we have any AC here? Switch is on. I don't get any power getting to this thing. Well, where is the fault? Is it the switch? I got no power getting to this thing at all. Well, let's just bypass this. Let's see which one's broken first of all. We'll just measure the neutral side, put the meter in continuity mode. I got continuity there, and measure the hot side, and I got no continuity. Interesting. Is it the switch, or is it the power cord, or is it this fuse socket that's no good? It could be the fuse socket. That might be the problem. Or it could be the switch too, either one. Let's see here. The power comes in. It looks like it goes to the fuse. It goes to. Why are there 4 wires going down into the switch? It's filled with hot glue. But we can plug this in. I can plug this into a power cord. Let's just verify that the amplifier actually works. It's going to work, I'm sure, but I've got a cheater cord. We'll hook that up to the cheater cord and verify that everything else works on here, and then it's just a power problem. It's going to either be the switch or the fuse holder or the power cord. One of the three. But I got my little CSA approved cheater cord. Neutral. Line input, and we'll put some music on here to make some noise. Plug the course, turn the gain down because I don't want to get blown out of the shop here. But we should have something. I can plug this in. I still have nothing. Okay, well, I got no power. And I've got power going to it now for sure. I have a sneaking suspicion that fuse holder broke when I put that fuse back in. You know that? I bet you that's where the problem was. If I check now, you'll see I've got 121 volts going in, but there's no power. Power light's not on even when it's on auto or on. This one you can have it so that it shuts off when there's no signal, or you can put it on all the time. The light's not lighting up, so the power supply has an issue. So we need to investigate a little further. First things first though, let's find out where the problem is. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's the fuse holder. When I put that thing back together, it mustn't be making a good connection. And that's exactly what it was. The fuse just wasn't seating properly, because now I got continuity on the hot side and I got continuity on the neutral. So we got a problem with the, this is a switch mode power supply on here. We got no power. I saw the light flicker when I plugged it in, so obviously it's capacitor's charging up, that's for sure. Just get the meter going here, see if we can fix this one. Should be relatively easy, I would think, but check it to the ground side and see if there's any voltage here on anything. Should be the DC side. Oh, that cap is bubbly. And you think maybe that's our problem. We got 16 volts here, so the power supply is working. Check this cap out. There's a cap here that's got all kind of bubbly. Look at the top of it. You think maybe there's our problem right there? Yummy! So I gotta pull the board. It's got this yellow circuit crap glue on here too. That might be causing part of our problem. It goes conductive. This yellow shit that's in here. It turns kind of brown and starts to go conductive, like right here. Right here, this crap. So we will clear that crap out while I'm working on it. But first things first, I need to get this board off of the chassis so that I can work on it. Neighbor was driving by yesterday, and while I was loading up that TV that I repaired, that Samsung plasma set that I repaired, and he said, "Hey, you want some speakers? I'm giving them away." Well, now I know why they were giving them away. It doesn't work. So I have to get a really good laugh out of here, because you see it says Canada right here, because this board would have been made in Canada, but the unit itself was made in China. So they ship the boards, they build the boards in Canada, and most of the bash amps were, because it was a Canadian design. They build the boards in Canada, and then they ship it over to China, where they do the final assembly. Yeah. It says, designed by Clips Audio Technologies USA, product of China. But the board itself was still made in Canada. Which is interesting, because I know a guy that, I'm having trouble getting this one disconnected. I know a guy that he is a neighbor, and his company is called, what's the name of it? Nebula. Nebula, it's a technology company. They do fiber optics. And he builds a lot of fiber cards for like telcos and so forth. And he has his boards. He doesn't trust the Chinese as far as he can throw them. This guy actually lives about a block away from me. Been to his place. So he has the boards, the layout for the board, done in China. And then the boards are shipped to Canada, where they're populated with components and then they're shipped to his facility, which is a block away from where I live, and that's where he loads the custom software onto the firmware onto the chipset, and then does all of his testing in-house, because he's concerned that they will steal his design over there. So to guard against his proprietary design getting stolen, anything that involves the actual component placement and programming is done here. And I asked him, why don't you just get your boards made in Canada as well, the blank board? Because he showed me he's got a stack of blank boards, because the blank boards all come back to his place, and then he sends them out to have the boards assembled at an assembly plant out on, I think it's on Anasis, it's out here. Pick and place machine there. And he says, well, he could have the boards etched in Canada, but the boards will cost him $12 per board to have the board etched here, whereas when he sends the board to China to have it done, it's like 50 cents per board to have the board done in China. Not finished, just the actual board. And to have the board done here, it's like $12. So he has the board layout. He's okay with sending his CAD files for the board design to the Chinese and having them make a 6-layer board for him and then send it back, and then he does everything else here to try to keep his secrets secret. Make sense? Anyway, I'm gonna get into this and see what is happening with this one. Change that capacitor for starters and clean up some of this crap that's around the board. I'm going to clean up the circuit glue that's right up against this little circuit board. This is a regulator, I'm sure. Just kind of pick that off there, because this is the stuff that's turned brown. It goes conductive, and if it's touching this board, it could be causing a short and affecting the final voltage of the inverter. Almost looks like it's maybe even corroded this board a bit. Oh, there's no, I don't think so. Oh, there's contacts in here. So I'm just going to try to remove as much of this circuit glue that's turned brown as I can, especially where it makes connections or where it's touching conductors, because that's where it causes the problems when it goes conductive, as it causes leakage across it. So we'll just take out as much of this as we can. I'm not going to be able to get it all off the board, but if I can get it off of the areas where it's going to cause a short, like I already got it off the controls here and off this circuit board back here. And we'll change out this cap that's obviously bad, and we'll take it from there and see whether it's going to work or not. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this unit, because when I sell it, it won't get very much money. I mean, they just nobody wants this stuff. That's why people are giving it away, because people these days don't set up big stereos for the most part. They set up a little sound bar, or they buy a cheap Sonos crap system and they use that. So big systems just aren't as popular as they once were. I'm going to hear from the minority right now that'll tell me I'm wrong, but again, that's the minority. This cap is glued into, which might make removing it a little bit of a challenge. It was glued down so that vibration in the back of the speaker wouldn't make the components come loose. That's why they glued it in the first place. For those of you wondering, this is a Class D amplifier. You can see the big choke coil in the capacitor. That's the low-pass filter. There's more of it on here. This other board says Canada on it as well. There's more of it on this board here. Wonderful. Yeah, great stuff. I hate it. I hate the circuit glue. It's hard to work with. I'm having a little more success at removing it by heating it up with my air station to about 480 degrees, and then it picks off a little easier. Kind of melts it a bit so that I can at least pick it out of here. Alright, I got that bad cap out. Now just to get rid of the rest of this circuit glue.
That little black module there, that's going to be the PWM audio generator board for the Class D outputs.
The cap's not there.
It's got glue on it all over the place too, including on a chip. So I'm kind of concerned that that little board might be a problem.
Or a component here. This might be a diode. Or is it a capacitor? There's a component here that's got the glue over top of it. Looks like a little capacitor. Okay, there, let's clear that off. Try to get the rest of the stuff off this other IC here because it's all over the pins, which is where it is going to cause a problem, but it goes corrosive and conductive.
That big inductor and the big yellow cap just at the bottom right of the screen there, that's the low pass filter that removes the switching signal from the PWM output and turns it back into an audio signal. But that chip I'm poking around right now, I'm concerned that that might be a problem because it's got that circuit glue on the other side on what's probably is the comparator IC, which is what generates that PWM signal from the audio signal. It's a Class D. They're always lots of fun to work on. Hopefully it's just the capacitor that's bad, but just all this bloody glue in there is...
When you heat up the glue, it tends to get a little softer and comes off a little bit easier. And again, I'm not heating this hot enough to melt the solder or any components. I've only got the temperature set at about 480 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So it's hot enough that it's making the glue a little softer and it releases a little bit easier from the circuit board. You see? Much easier to work with when you heat it up.
This is the part that I am concerned
I want to get it off
might be damaged
as well. There's a big blob of it right on top of this chip. An IC that's under here.
That IC is likely the comparator that adds the audio signal to a triangle waveform at running at the frequency of the PWM signal, generates the pulse width data train that gets amplified. So if that's not working, the amplifier is not going to work.
That comes off just like that.
The heat that I'm putting on with the air station here is, say, about 480 degrees Fahrenheit. Not hot enough to melt solder, but I'm just softening that glue a bit to try to get as much of it as I can, because it causes so many problems with the conductivity when it starts to deteriorate.
Okay, I found another cap that is probably okay. I didn't have a new one, so we'll try what we have. It's a plated board, so I have to get the solder to flow right into and down into the hole to make a connection with the other side here. We'll just test it out and see whether the amplifier will turn on. To do that, I'll have to connect it to the control circuit and the speaker, and we'll see whether it fires up and whether I get any sound out of it. Okay, I've got it hooked up. I'm going to apply power. I've got the amplifier board, nothing touching it. Apply power and see whether I get any sound. I got a green light on now, which I didn't have before. Well, making some noise. Okay, well, it's doing more than it was before. At least it's turning on, but it's obviously not working properly. Okay, we've got 95 volts now. So the power supply is working because I had 15 volts before. So the power supply is working.
Sad Trombone says it's the PWM converter.
So we got a problem with the amp. I think I'm probably going to end up washing my hands on this one and just sending it off to recycling. And I know some people are going to be going, well, why are you giving up on it so easy? Well, I don't have a schematic for it. I went to my normal sources, and yes, I can find the owner's manual and I can find the brochure, but no schematic, no service manual. And I don't really know how this unit operates. They're quite complex circuits, and without a schematic you're kind of guessing. I got most of that circuit glue off that I could see. What I am concerned about is there's this one little IC here which was covered in it on this little board here. I don't know what this board does. I have no way of testing it. I don't know whether there's any shorts here. I couldn't get all of the crap out of here. I tried to pick it out as best I could, but there's still little bits of circuit glue in around this surface mount chip on here. I don't know whether the problem's on this board here, the little module, or whether it's on the main board. I think this one's probably okay because this one's in the oscillator for the power supply, and the power supply is now working. When I first tested it, I had about 15 volts on the rectifiers. Now I've got 95 volts, so I know that that part is working. I've checked components. I don't find any components that have failed. These are a couple of regulators, looks like. L7815s. Used to look to be low voltage regulator, but I'm about ready to give up on this unit here. To spend a little bit more time on it, but I'm basically going around in circles, and without a schematic, it's really tough to try to figure something like this out. Not a simple one to figure out. And then I see there's grounds here, so maybe this thing has to be grounded. I mean, maybe that's why it's not working. I just noticed that there are some through hole lugs here. I wonder if they're internally connected or whether this... okay, maybe it has to be mounted in the cabinet. Let's try putting it back on the back bracket, because I just noticed that some of these grounds here, they're actually connected to the circuit board, but they are not electrically connected. See, that one's electrically connected, but that one's not. What about this one over here? You see? Maybe that's the problem. I'll just remount this on this chassis and try it that way, because maybe that's why it's not working. We're missing the ground because they're using the back plate as a ground with the little brass standoffs on here that they've got, you see. So maybe that's why it's not working. I'll remount it and try it. What other companies did this? Think about it for a minute. What other companies pulled crap like this where they used the chassis to ground certain parts of the circuit? I can think of something. Plasma TVs. You get a loose ground and the board blows up because they didn't put a ground plane through on the board. They actually used the metal chassis to ground multiple different points. So it's very possible that that's why this isn't working. Okay, let's try it out to see whether it does anything. Nope. So it wasn't that. Nice try though, but... So this thing's definitely got some serious issues with it, and I think at this point in the game I'm just going to say forget it, wash my hands of it, and just toss it. I got it for nothing, and I figured if I could get it to go I might be able to sell the unit, but I'm not going to put a lot of time and effort into something like this because they don't go for very much. You know, the last subwoofer I sold, I think I sold it for 50 bucks. They're not worth a lot of money, and it's not a real easy design. With a schematic, this would be pretty simple. It'd be pretty simple to go in and pop in the scope and you know, make some tests. I can throw the scope on it now and see whether we can see any signal, but I'm not holding my breath that we're going to get anywhere with it here. I'll just see whether the signal is going from the preamp board over to the main board, whether it's clear or distorted. We'll take a look at that and see, but I'm not holding out much hope for this one. Okay, doing some tests here. I've got clean audio going in here. This is going into this amplifier, this op amp. It looks like maybe it's in here where the problem is. I got clean audio going in here. I should show you guys the scope in a minute here. So here's a clean signal, and here's, see, same with this one. That little circuit board that had all the circuit glue on it. I'm just going to do some probing around that. Yeah, I got distortion on here too. It might be this little board, this foobar, because I'm seeing the same thing here on all the pins. I should have my drive signal, my PWM drive signal should be coming off this board, and I've got nothing. Every one of them. It's like every time it goes to produce sound, it pulses down. So if I was guessing, I would say it's that little, even on here, I've got it on here too, that noise. Everywhere I look, I'm seeing that noise. I think at this point, I'm just going to wash my hands on it. That other cap that I pulled out that was blown up, right, that had the top popped on it like that, maybe something failed in the power supply and the voltage went way too high, and it blew the top off of this one. I mean, it was only 85-degree cap too. It wasn't like it was one in the switching power supply that needed really high frequencies. But anyway, I think that I mean, if the voltage is there, I mean, if I measured it right now, even with it unplugged, I'll have like 95 volts still here. Like the power supply is charging, and the new cap I put in is holding the voltage. If I test between the negative terminal and that, you see I got 88 volts across that cap. And it's not dissipating because the output transistors aren't switching. Well, I think sometimes you just have to know when to say "fook it," and that's exactly what I'm going to say. This one here is just not worth the time and effort. Easy come, easy blow, they say. So this one's going off to recycling. I got no use for it. I have no source for schematics. If any of you guys know what the problem is, before it goes to recycling, let me know. But it's nothing obvious. This was supposed to be a 200 watt amplifier. Canadian designed bash amplifier, but made in China. I think the boards say Canada on it, so the boards could have been made here and sent to China and to be assembled. But with all that circuit glue on there, that stuff is just nasty. And with the way that that cap exploded, the voltage may have gone too high. I'll plug it in just for the hell of it, just to prove to myself that it doesn't work. At least the power light comes on now. That didn't happen before. But no sound. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.